crazy
it's
how
like
much he
same
did.
with Invincible, where like you got in on the ground floor, you instantly fell in love with the character, you wanted to see where this went, you fell in love with all the supporting cast,
Yeah.
and then eventually it just became your favorite character, and it became
Yeah.
one of your favorite books. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I loved, I mean, Wolverine was my guy, but I
Yeah.
never felt like I loved reading Wolverine, but I never felt like a familiar connection to the guy, right?
It spoke to you. I feel like it spoke to you, but not in the way that Invincible did.
Yeah, and then
Because I
Ultimate Spider-Man
remember,
came out, and that kind of touched a little bit, but there was just something about Invincible, just like the dialogue. I could hear me and my friends,
yeah,
the challenges in high school, and it really helped that I was just getting out of high school at the same time that I started reading this. So
yeah,
I was Mark Grayson's age, and I remember very vividly saying to myself, "Well, I finally found my Savage Dragon."
and that's what I was going to say. Was like,
Yeah,
I remember when you were getting into Invincible, and then you actually said that to me. You were like, "This is my Savage Dragon," and you've
yeah,
said that prior. Like ever since you've said that, and when you said that to me, I remember thinking like, "Oh, okay, okay,"
hmm
because like even with Savage Dragon, like yeah, I'm a huge Larson fan, but I mean, really, to tell you like why it was like it became a part of my life. It was just
yeah,
it was like you woke up, you read Spider-Man, you read like for me, I read Batman and Robin, or
yeah,
Robin primarily and Nightwing, and then Savage Dragon. Like that was always on my pull list.
yeah.
And
And I like, I don't want to say I was envious, but I always felt like the wish that I could have that too. Like, because you talked about Dragon all the time, and how special that comic was to you.
yes,
You read it
yes,
through a lot of hard times in your life, and it pulled you through a lot of it. And
exactly,
I
exactly.
never felt that to Wolverine. I never felt it to the X-Men and Generation X, any of those other books I was reading. And so like
Yeah,
Invincible was just like, fuck, this is it for me.
comics were always like that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like comics was always like it was always an escape, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, like, because I've said this, like, because like, what would Superman do, and like the Born mentality and stuff like that. But like, it all comes down to just comic books. And comic books is always something that whenever I'm like really feeling like I'm in a dark place or like things are hopeless, then I'm like, no, 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 get back to reading comic books. Get back to reading comic books because it always feels like it resets. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think part of the reason with Dragon was because there was jobs and there was like rent and bills and shit like that. Like in Spider-Man comic books and stuff like that, and Spider-Man almost primarily is one of the few comic books that was like bills.
Yeah.
I gotta fucking pay bills.
Bills.
Savage
Yeah.
Dragon not so much, but like I don't know. I think Savage Dragon came at the perfect time because like at that point this is horrible, but my home life was starting to get worse.
Yeah.
So it came in at that perfect time for me to be able to go, okay, all right, but it can still get better, right?
Yes.
Like, and I think
Yes.
that's probably my favorite thing about comics, the medium in general, like comics and all of it encompassing, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
video games or cartoons or movies or whatever. It's I feel like it's a constant reminder that things can get better. And
Yeah.
yes, this is all fake bullshit, right? Like it's
Yeah.
all fake bullshit. But that feeling that it gives you, like that button that you press that makes you feel good, like the Morrison reference for the button, like that's a real thing. So it's like, well, why would you make fun of somebody that's reading something or playing something that makes them feel better about their lives? Why would
Exactly.
you do that?
You
And I'm
know.
I'm actually like I remember being happy. Like when you said I finally found my Savage Dragon, I remember just being like, good, fucking right. Like I don't want to make it sound like you were constantly searching. You were searching for that
Yeah.
Savage Dragon, but when you feel that feeling, like when it's a connection, you know, then I feel like it changes you for the better. And I think that's why I don't want to see comic books go away, because I think that's one way to get that feeling.
Comics are so fucking special to me. Like
Ah,
I love movies and cartoons and video games and stuff, but something about comic books, and I think it's that deep tissue that I have to it, where like, my dad read them to me when I was a kid, and I went through all those old comic, but like it's in me. Like comics are in me. So like I
Yeah.
was in 2000, 2001, I was working out of town in Dryden.
Yep.
I was buying more comics than I have in my life. I was making a lot of money, so I was able to
Hold
do
on.
that.
You forgot about HeroClix.
Yeah, and well, fucking HeroClix too.
I know you don't want to bring it up too much because that's probably the most embarrassing part of the geekdom right there.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
motherfucker spent a lot of money on
a
HeroClix.
lot of money on the HeroClix.
Good thing he made most of it back.
I think I gave away half of them, but I mean, I was so fucking
That's
depressed
right.
in those 2 years.
Oh my god, it was miserable.
I was going to the comic store every weekend when I was home and buying like, I think I had about 40 comics on my pull list at that time, a month.
Yeah, you were buying a disgusting amount.
And I would take those, and every day after work, I would go home and just read home, like the hotel, the trailer, the apartment, whatever I was in, and I would just read comic books to get me through the night.
Yeah, exactly.
It really fucking helped me, man. It really helped. But
well, and that's exactly it.
I still never had that Invincible yet, right?
No.
When I quit doing all that shit, that's when I was introduced to Invincible, and I was like, "This is it." I
think that was the perfect time for you, though. I don't think
was.
mentally and emotionally you would have been as accepting of Invincible.
I probably would not have been, no. But I understood. Like, you know what it is? I love my father, right?
Yeah.
I did not want to be a plumbing apprentice. I got into it because of him, right?
I know.
So that was another thing with Invincible, was Mark's relationship with his father, and his father wanting him to be something that he didn't so want to be.
Right.
It really just fucking oh man, I get teary eyed just thinking about this shit. Like it really.
Yeah, and I never thought of it like that. You're right. Because the thing is, there's a lot of mirrors. Because you and your dad have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And you guys have largely had a great relationship almost the entire time that I've known you.
Yeah.
I think the only real times it was tough was when you were like, I don't want to go on the pipeline anymore.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what are you going to do with your life then? And you're like, I don't really know, but I know I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can understand, like, from your dad's point of view, none of his kids want to do this.
Yeah.
None of his kids want to go into the very thing that created their livelihood.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Hey, Dad, no, it's great. Thanks for all this stuff, but fuck your job, man. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, we saw that heavy with James. James, we saw it heavy.
Yes.
But see, from an outsider, so to speak, it was always one of those things where, like, at the end of the day, though, like, I knew your parents loved you, and that they just wanted what's best for you.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Mark's dad, where he's just like, no, I want you to be a superhero, but primarily, I also want you to take over the earth with me.
Yeah.
So,
fuck women and kill the rest.
Yeah. But literally only fuck them. Yeah, but what about mom? Look, man, don't bring her up. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I love your mom, but I have to say I don't.
Yeah, she's all right.
She's cool. She's cool because of you. Yeah. Because of you. That's why she's
you.
Cool.
We'll kill her later. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know that you would have been ready to have it at that point in time, and I'm glad the stars aligned.
Yeah.
And you were able to pick it up when you did, which is funny too, because like not to knock Kirkman at all, but I never really got into The Walking Dead ever.
I got into it later because of Invincible, but I mean, he launched Invincible and Walking Dead the same year. It was everyone was reading one of the two.
I read I want to say maybe the first trade.
Yeah.
First or second trade. And I remember being like, it was good, but I was already like looking ahead and going, but how long does this book really last?
And quite a while.
Yeah, obviously quite a while, but I was looking at it like, okay, but like, because eventually, like, you go, well, at some point, the zombies have to die out, period. But like, so because you can only fight zombies for so long, and you can only fight fucking rival gangs of humans for so long, right?
Mhm.
To the point where, like, I don't know, it just wasn't for me, so I just stopped. I even like
Yeah.
even the show. I watched the first 2 seasons, and by the end of the second season, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
No,
And it was it. I was just just walked away.
I read the first 100 issues of the comic, and it was there was a pattern to it that just continued all the time, and I just got tired of it.
Well, that's where I was like with the trade. By the end of that trade, I had seen the pattern, I think, twice,
Yeah.
and then I was just kind of like, okay, you know what, I'm good. And I don't want to suggest that like patterns in comic books are bad, because comics, by their very nature, are ruled by patterns.
Hmm. Yeah.
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 Like, I even said with the most recent Nightwing run, I said my impression was, I felt like he was taking a really long time building up Dick Grayson and Bloodhaven and his supporting cast, so that he could tear them down, and then the cycle repeats.
Yep.
And that's pretty much comic books right there.